Should you buy off-the-plan property in 2026? Well, the government's letting you negatively gear new builds, so isn't that free money? And I get it, the budget has dropped, the headlines went wild, and suddenly every beginner investor is asking if they should buy brand new property or off the plan this year. And I'm going to explain why it is the last thing I would be doing. There are 3 very clear reasons as to why I would not be recommending new builds for any investors. And to keep me super honest on the numbers here today, I have one of my very much favorite mortgage brokers, Shaz. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, okay. So I'm Shaurya. I work with Successful Finance Group. We obviously partner with people like Ella. We help build lending strategies for clients and help them support, build and scale property portfolios. A little bit by myself, obviously, I'm a multi-business owner. I do love to say that. We've got a couple of things going on in the background, but obviously the main thing is helping people build and scale property portfolios. That's really what I focus on.
And do you work with many first-home buyers, or is it mostly investors?
I think there's a small portion of first-home buyers that we obviously work with, but it's mainly investors, right? That's pretty much what I like to focus on.
So let's set the scene here, Shaz, because there's been a lot of noise in the market recently. Since the budget announcement, I am getting beginner investors start to pivot their focus and look at the new off-the-plan strategy. And I want to make it really clear as to why we're just not about that at all. Now, important clarification, because I want everyone to actually understand the rules before they act on it. So the change limits negative gearing to new builds from the 1st of July 2027. Of course, if you buy a property today, you can still take advantage of negative gearing until then. That is for established investment properties. Anything held before budget night, you will get negative gearing forever. But if you're buying today, it has to be a new build if you want negative gearing. And that is why we're having people reach out asking if they should be buying house and land packages today. So from mid-2027, if you buy an established property, you can't offset those rental losses against your salary anymore, but the new builds stay exempt. Shaurya, is that what you're seeing amongst your clientele, the same questions?
Yeah, I guess one of the main things, obviously, after the government's dropped a massive bomb on all of us, right, is people will think that negative gearing is the be-all and end-all of investing, right? They come into us and they say, oh, well, I can get all these depreciation costs and I can get XYZ and get all these things up front. But, it's not really actually the case, is it, right?
Absolutely. So on paper, the tax incentive of negative gearing is very real, but here's my argument. Those tax benefits are not the reason why you buy any investment, let alone property. We have a very clear strategy, which is buy for capital growth. And that cash flow and tax benefit is only there to support your portfolio. So there are 3 reasons why I don't believe brand new property fits within that strategy of capital growth. And I'm going to begin with reason number 1, which is the high supply and low capital growth you see in these new housing estate areas. But not only new house and land areas, also off-the-plan apartments. So think about it. And Shaurya, you know this best. You have your restaurant out in. So you've got a lot of new houses out there, literally thousands of new builds. So picture yourself buying a property off the plan in Melbourne. There is no supply shortage whatsoever. Thousands of new houses in the pipeline. So by the time your house is finished being built, let's call it in 12 months' time, you have hundreds of other properties that have also been built. That means more competition when you go to rent out that house. And let's say you want to sell it in 10 years' time, you're going to have buyers with, let's call it less desperation at your auction because they can just go to the auction down the road. So all of this supply means less scarcity, and that equates to less capital growth. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. There's no supply issues over there, right? There's thousands of houses, obviously, maybe even tens of thousands of houses which are available, right? You can walk down, pick up 5 lots like it's a piece of cake. But there's more to it than just that, right? Like, not only do you have, people who are interested to buy in these properties and clients who are thinking that it's a great place to start, right? And these properties in 12 to 18 months time, they actually have a lot of other lending issues that
like what?
come about with it, right? Some of these properties, if you don't know them, actually tend to undervalue. So to break that down into a little bit of an easy situation so everyone can understand, right? When you go to buy a property, it's not as simple as just getting your loan approved. Getting your loan approved is just one aspect, right? You also have to get the bank to approve on your property, right? Which is the valuation of the property. What happens when the bank values their property is they confirm that it's worth maybe, let's say, for example, $500,000, and you can get a loan against it for $400,000, let's say, for example. But in the scenario that the bank says it's worth $450,000, who comes up with that $50,000? The client.
Yep.
So there's a couple of issues of undervaluations. And then obviously you've got a bunch of other problems like LVR restrictions. You've got a whole bunch of other things going on. So I know it's incentivized to get into these new builds now, but there's a lot of other aspects that we have to actually consider when going for these new build loans and trying to buy these properties.
Have you seen any maybe clients of yourselves or in the industry, any of those situations where a buyer signed a house and land package deal for, call it 600, and then it was valued 580 and they had to come up with extra?
Yeah, we've had a few client issues like this actually,
really?
Coming off the back of maybe they've come from somewhere else or they've tried to buy a property by themselves and someone spooked them into going down this route.
Yep.
Where they've signed something off the plan, just maybe even put in $5,000 deposit or even just a smallest of 2%. Right? It's not a lot of money, but then when it comes to the time of settlement, then they see that it's an unconditional contract and they have to sell on this property. And now all of a sudden they've got to come up with 20, 30, the worst I've seen is $60,000 up front.
Shoot, 60 grand.
Yeah. It was for an off the plan apartment where they've signed something and it's been pretty shit for them.
So not only did they buy a property that it's not a good investment, you're not going to get capital growth, but then they have to tip in more cash. And of course, if they don't have that cash, they default and they lose their original deposit.
Much, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine a worse situation.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we don't recommend these new off-the-plan type products, whether it be the house and land package or the off-the-plan apartment. But I do have our second reason for why we're not big on new products, and that is, yes, you get high depreciation, and your clients would ask you about that all the time because, it's money back in their pocket. But with high depreciation, generally, you have low land value. But as we know, as investors, the capital growth comes from the land. So, Shaurya, tell me about how often you hear about depreciation from your clients.
Obviously, depreciation, it's amazing, right? Depreciation has helped a lot of people in some aspects get tax back and get money back into their pocket. But what a lot of investors forget is that's an added benefit. It's not your be all and end all. I don't invest or, look at property as a product thinking, okay, cool, I'm going to get 30 cents back on my dollar. I think my dollar is going to reach $2 or $3.
Yes.
Right? And so you get clients talk about depreciation and tax back and all these things like that. But like I said, it's not one of those, it's not one of those things. Exactly. It's not what you're doing it for, right? You're doing it to see value grow over time, not get more money back into your pocket. And if that was the case, you wouldn't be looking at, a property as a product anyways. You'd probably think of going elsewhere. So it's a weird one, right? Like, yes, it is a benefit having negative gearing, having all these tax backs. Yes, it helps, but it's not the reason why we do things realistically.
I agree. And just to paint a picture in the mind of the listener or viewer, when you buy a property, let's say you're buying a house on 400 square meters, and you can either buy an established one in Brunswick or a brand new one out in Truganina. Well, of course, the house in Brunswick is going to do better. Why? It's an older house, maybe zero depreciation left, but you've got this solid block of land in a location that's established, fully built out, no new supply of new houses. And then compare that to Truganina, where you've just built your brand new house. It's shiny, it's brand new, it's got all the bells and whistles. That all depreciates, and that house is going to lose value over time. And the land, you've still got your 400 square meters, but you're in an area with no scarcity of land. And unlimited supply. So you're not going to have the same capital growth. And that is why we're not big on, those depreciation assets because they're not for capital growth.
No, not at all.
So stick to the plan. The plan is capital growth. And finally, the third reason for why we do not recommend buying off the plan or building brand new property in 2026, and this one is really obvious, we're in the peak of construction costs. It's never been more expensive to build a house, buy brand new. Think about tradie costs. There's a shortage in tradies. And then think about all of the construction costs. Of course, the extra inflation we have as a result of the conflict in the Gulf states. So it's never been more expensive. And what that means to me is you're overcapitalizing if you're building something brand new.
Yeah, like construction costs have gone through the roof. Like I think last time, back in the day, probably 2-3 years ago, it was affordable. It was still okay. Obviously, in the last 12 months, we've had external factors. We've got wars going on. We've got government changes. We've got a lot of things going on. And we've seen massive growth on that side, right? Like it's almost unaffordable to actually go and buy and build a property nowadays.
Yeah.
So a lot, again, going back to what we spoke about, right? A lot of these builders, they're actually pricing into these facts of it's going to cost them $20,000, $30,000, maybe $50,000 more. And for that same price point, do you think really you can go back and buy something established, right?
I agree. Put it this way. If you sign up for a house and land package out in Tarneet, that's going to be at least $750,000. Why would I spend that on a new property in Tarneet when I can spend that in Thomastown? Come on. And it's like, that's a simple example. It gets a lot worse once you go through everything landscaping. It could add up to $800,000. So simply put, if you're spending $800,000 in a 650 suburb, it's not a good investment.
Not really, no.
Shaurya, where would you buy with that $750K, $800K budget?
Well, based on my opinion, I think, $750K, you can get some good products out in somewhere like Point Cook, some of the inner eastern suburbs. They've still got, all the amenities. You've got train lines, you've got hospitals, you've got schools and, all the basics that's required. So that's where I would be looking. And like Ella put it right on the, nail on the head. If you're going to be spending that much money, you might as well go and spend it on something which is worth your time rather than just for tax breaks, right?
Absolutely agreed. So let's bring this home. The 3 reasons for why we would not be buying off the plan or brand new property in 2026. Number 1, high stock levels. You're not going to get capital growth when there's no scarcity of property where you've bought. Number 2, you're buying a fast depreciating asset. That sounds great. Your accountant is going to love that, but it's not good for capital growth. We want our investment to be in the land. At least call it 70% of your investment should be in the land value. That is what gives you that capital growth. And reason number 3, construction costs are the highest they've ever been. Why are you building a brand new house when you're paying a premium? This is, again, not a good investment strategy. So Shaurya, if someone is listening to this and they want your advice on where you'd be pointing them in 2026 for investing, what would your advice be?
Well, I think my advice would be relook at your budgets. Obviously, with negative gearing gone now, yes, your borrowing capacities are going to be lower. But it's okay, right? Because you can stick to your budget. This just means that, yes, it's going to be a more competitive environment, and that's why it's important to work with professionals like ourselves. But it also means that your repayments and everything are going to be a lot more affordable, and therefore you're going to be able to find products which are a little bit more sustainable without tax breaks. That the tax break, like I said before, it's just an added benefit. Don't focus too much on it. If you can make your repayments and you're getting good capital growth for a product, by all means, just stick to your budget and go for it.
Absolutely. So to wrap that up, be conservative with your budget, buy the affordable investment property, and of course, stick to the goal, which is capital growth.
Exactly. Capital growth is key.
Absolutely. So where can people find you if they want to book in a call to assess their borrowing capacity?
Perfect. So you can find us on our website, which I'm sure you hopefully link in the comments.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can go inquire through us through there, and I'll be more than happy to do a quick discovery call and we can run through some numbers with you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Shaurya. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, leave any comments below. I'll answer them myself. And if you're finding value, make sure you click subscribe for the next video where we will be going into how to maximize your budget in 2026. Thanks, Shaz.
Thanks, guys.